Hello, my Romance Club lovers. This interview is the first one from Veronica, the writer of Dracula love story. Special thanks to VK Group where it was published. The link is in the description. We are very eager to get to know you better. Tell us a little about yourself. How do you prefer to spend your free time? Do you have a hobby? Have you been writing for a long time? What was your work related to before you got into your story interactive? Greetings to all. I usually turn my hobbies into work. I don't really know how to force myself, so I try to do what I'm most interested in at that moment. My work has always been related to writing in one way or another. I have a journalistic education and used to work in the media. My favorite activity in my free time is long walks, just walking around the city or hiking in the mountains. The most obvious but interesting to many people question: how did you get into your story interactive team? Simple job vacancy. Then I just completed a short but very intense course of study with the playwright Maxim Kurочkin, and screenwriting began to fascinate me more and more. What inspired you most while writing the scenes that takes place in the Ottoman Empire? Real historical events and personalities. Life comes up with something that no author would ever think of. Your story has not the most popular but an intriguing version of Dracula's story. He is not a villain but a victim of circumstances. Why did you choose this way? Because it's true. I speak good Romanian and have studied the original sources. But there are enough serious studies in Russian that claim that the image of a cruel ruler and a bloodthirsty monster that is popular all over the world has very little in common with reality. It came about as a result of what we now call black PR. Can we expect Mehmet to be revealed not only by the antagonist side? If this is a spoiler, we will understand. Mehmet will definitely not be one-sided character. Are there any compositions that you associate with the characters? With the story itself? There is, but we talk about it separately some other time. The first season of the novel is almost over. After the passage of time and feedback, are there any points that you would change? I can edit and improve my texts many times. Only deadlines stop me from doing this. Therefore, I'm glad that the novel comes out in blocks of 2-3 episodes and I don't have the opportunity to go back and redo it. Do you play the rest of Romance Club stories? Are there any favorites? Yes, I'm playing, also with the significant delay due to lack of time. I do this without guides or strategies, so I usually have a low authority and even max died. But it turns out to be my own story. I love all Romance Club stories. As an author, I have something to learn from each of them. But as a regular player, I prefer fantasy stories, so my top is Heaven's Secret, Legend of the Willow, and Love from Outer Space. In your story, there are several references to Moonborn. Firstly, it is presented in the form of a game, but then Vlad says about the magazine Supernatural Daily. Despite the official band's claim of different universes, can we hope for a collaboration of these two stories? The appearance of someone from Moonborn as a cameo. There is no Supernatural Daily magazine in Dracula love story universe. There is only the game Moonborn, which Vlad didn't play. He said the name at random and just hit, because such magazines are usually called something like that. Of course, such accidents are not accidental, and this was a small Easter egg from me. But Moonborn and Dracula love story remained in different universes, and there can be no collaboration. Do you read theories? If so, did any of players manage to get to the truth? Yes, I read it sometimes. I'm happy if the players guess something. After all, this suggests that the plot is logical and the left clues are noticed and correctly interpreted. Of course, if aliens appeared in Dracula love story for the final and the Ottoman Sultan appeared in Love from Outer Space, it would be as unexpected as possible, but it is also completely inappropriate. In Dracula love story, the past and the present are intertwined. We see Lale, Aslan, and Vlad, who are familiar with Laya, Leo, and Vlad, so the question arises: who is closer to you? Their past versions or their versions in the present? What do you like about Lali and what do you like about Laia? As a true creator, I love everyone I create, even the antagonists and just the unpleasant ones, because they are this way because of me. Well, the main characters in general are my favorite ones in both times. And again about history. Will we see Radu? Yes, we'll see. How long have you been writing the skeleton of the story? What was the source of inspiration for the creation of the characters? Long, about 2 months. The main inspiration was real story and fate of Vlad the Impaler. Since we are talking about characters, maybe there is a character who is little more of you than the other. Which hero is closer to you by spirit? And are there any characters from other stories that you recognize yourself in? I find similarity in the most different, even opposite characters. After all, a person is not static but dynamic. Today I'm May, tomorrow I'm Miranda, and the day after tomorrow I'm Lucifer, or even a space cat. We can't help but note your reverent attitude to animals and attention to them. There is a lot of them in Dracula a love story, and they are all bright, from stunning Nosferatu to sweet Berdush. It's tempting to think that you love animals. Do you have a favorite pet? If so, which one? Yes, I have three of them. A cat with eternal zen on its face, and two other cats. One is smart and serious, and the other is daffy and funny. In the previous update, we got acquainted with such an interesting and intriguing character as Noah. He is like an observer, transmitting us some thoughts, perhaps hints from the author. Also, there is interesting detail in his image, eyes of different colors. Is this some kind of reference to Volant, a character from Master and Margarita? Should we also look for hints in the name Noe Lockett? Yes, of course, this is an allusion to Volant. Although they are different characters, they still have something in common. You can look for hints everywhere, why not? Sandra is considered to be one of the brightest female roots, but many players complain that there is so little time for her. Can we hope for interesting twists with her participation? I understand. All players want to spend more time with their favorite, but the plot is in the first place. The hero appears when it requires to be. Sandra is a full participant of the story, not just a female root, and there will be more of her when the times come. What type of liar appearance do you like? I'm most familiar with fair skin type, although I know that the main part of our team prefers olive skin type. In the story, there are many interesting details that are somehow connected with the images of the main characters, their habits. Vlad's scar, Lia's pendant, Sandra's work, Aslan's homeland, black lilies from Noia. It's not a coincidence, is it? Many things are not accidental. But sometimes a chair is just a chair and not a portal to other worlds. There should be just furniture in the story. There have already been references to literature in your story, which is good news. Please name your favorite books. What would you recommend to read for those who want to immerse themselves in a Dracula love story like atmosphere? I am a book maniac, so the list is endless. Of the most, The Master and Margarita, and Notes of the Deceased by Bulgakov, Razor's Age by Moyam, Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. From the last read, Pavich Fly was very hooked. What is similar to Dracula love story I find it difficult to say. It's hard for me to look up great authors, and I don't read weak ones. Will there be more characters from the past that we will see in the present? I can't answer that question. I will only say that any appearance is justified by the plot. Just like that, at the request of the author or the players, no one appears anywhere. At the very beginning of the story, when we choose to travel with Hassan rather than Leo, we get a sign about the impact of their choices on the course of the story. Should we expect the influence in the first season? No, there will be no influence in the first season. Are there any scenes that had to be abandoned in the process? If so, would you like to give a brief summary of these scenes? Most often, the scenes are thrown out of the plot because you can do without them. For example, I removed a rather large scene that reveals the butler Anton because the airtime is strictly limited, and I always accelerate to maximum. Will there be flashbacks about Laya and Millie's life? Can you tell us more about their family, for example, about their parents? You will learn more about the life of the sisters and their family. Many of the main characters in the stories of Romance Club are similar to celebrities. For example, to Jessica Alba and Michelle Trachtenberg, Natalie Portman, etc. And Lali is often compared to Nina Dobrev, who was the prototype for Laya Lali. Nina Dobrev was definitely not among the prototypes. And there was, for example, one Turkish model. Do you keep in touch with colleagues? If we're talking about other screenwriters, then we don't see each other much. The author communicates much more with artists, translators, technical designers, and the composer. I'm eternally grateful to all of them for what Dracula Love Story turns out to be. After all, Romance Club stories are a very team story, and the screenwriters occupy only one small step in it. How do you feel about the fans' ideas? Is it possible that some of them will appear in your story? In our humble opinion, it is better to listen to carefully, like your fellow author Legend of the Willow and Love from Outer Space. Although ideas can be really interesting, it is often inappropriate to insert them into an already formed picture. Is this your first experience of creating a visual story? Yes. In what genre would you like to write the next story? I don't want to make a guess. So far, I'm comfortable with the current story. Are you planning the author in touch category? Can we expect you to maintain a working wiki page? Yes, the category is planned. About the personal page, it is unlikely. What advice would you give to inspiring writers? Those who want to become a screenwriter? They say that before you go to the goal, you need to carefully look at those who are already there. Not on a beautiful wrapper, but on the disadvantages that exist in any business. If they don't frighten, then go ahead. I advise you to read a lot. This is the only way to train a good syllable and sense of the text. But the main thing is to be curious, observant, greedily absorb the stories that life itself shows us. Because no syllable can hide the lack of ideas and the inner emptiness of the author. That was rather large but very interesting interview from Veronica. And that's it guys. Thanks for watching. See you next video. Bye bye.